Hello, everybody. My name is Jacob. I like sports. Welcome to another edition of JK Sports. And today I want to go over who, in my opinion, is the weirdest team in the NFL. Now, there's a few teams you could look at for that. You could look at teams like the Cleveland Browns, who have been dysfunctional for years. You could look at teams like the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, who could never figure out their quarterback situation, even though always having a consistent team. But the one team I want to focus on is the team who I get burned on every season. Every season, I think they're going to finally go over the hump, not necessarily win the Super Bowl, but make it back to the playoffs in the most recent two seasons. Win the Super Bowl, even if you look at a couple seasons before that, that being the Atlanta Falcons. Now, we all know where the story of the Atlanta Falcons has to start. 2016, having a very good season. Finished the regular season 11-5. Matt Ryan wins the regular season MVP at 4,950 yards, 38 touchdowns, 7 interceptions. However, we all know what happens once they finally got to that Super Bowl, up 28-6 midway through the third quarter of the Super Bowl, and they blew it. It's no other way to say it other than they blew it. Patriots come back to win in overtime. And thinking back on it, it's very easy to say, oh, that's the moment. That Super Bowl is when the Atlanta Falcons started slowly coming down. However, that wasn't the case. The following season, 2017, they had a very good season, finishing 10-6. Had Julio, Alex Mack, Deion Jones, Keanu Neal all make the Pro Bowl. Matt Ryan didn't have as good of a year, finishing around 4,095 yards, 20 touchdowns, 12 interceptions. Julio had a really weird start to the season. A lot of us have forgotten. He didn't get his first touchdown until week 7 against the Patriots. Remember that snag touchdown where it was clear he was just absolutely furious with the season he's been having up to that point. However, it was a very good season for them still. They won their first round matchup against the Los Angeles Rams, was it at the time still? I think so, yeah. And then they went on to the Eagles, and had they beaten the Eagles, it is very well possible they could have made it to the Super Bowl to repeat the previous match of the previous year against the Patriots, because the Eagles went on to wipe the floor with the Vikings after the Minnesota Miracle or whatever it's called. And they had a very good season that following year. Very well could have won the Super Bowl. However, that next season, that 2018 season, is where a lot of just weird things happen. Matt Ryan had a very good season still. Matt Ryan had just as good numbers as that MVP season, finishing around 4,900 yards, 35 touchdowns, 7 interceptions. Julio finishing at 1,600 yards, 8 touchdowns. However, it wasn't necessarily their play that was holding them back. It was the injury bug. Now, every year it seems like one team is just destined to not have their players fully healthy. Last year was the Eagles. 2 years ago, it was these Atlanta Falcons. Week 2, Keanu Neal, Deion Jones, both go down to the injury reserve. 2 players the previous season had made the Pro Bowl. Following that, Ricardo Allen, starting guard Andy Levitre, both go down IR after week 3. Week 4, Devontae Freeman goes down on injury reserve. Now you look at that. Those are all key starters that the previous few seasons had helped them get to the Super Bowl, had helped them get far into the playoffs. And they're all missing. Now, as much as I rave that the quarterback is the most important position in sports, and it is, it's very hard to win in the National Football League unless you have a starting caliber quarterback. And even better than that, especially now, look at how the NFL currently is. You see players like Jameis, Marcus Mariota, next year potentially Derek Carr, who are starting quarterbacks in most eras. Most eras, you can hold on to those guys and be solid. But Matt Ryan isn't just a solid quarterback. I mean, we see he had almost the same amount of yards, same amount of touchdowns, same amount of interceptions he had in that MVP season. However, they still finished 7-9 because if you don't have the guys on the field, if you don't have enough players, you can't do anything. It's really unfortunate that injuries happen, but it is part of the game. And all those injuries to all those key players really drag them down. However, we have next season, and which ended up being this previous season. I had the Atlanta Falcons making the playoffs. Now, I didn't think they were going to jump over the Saints and make it to win their division. I did think they could be a wild card team. Well, then they started the season 1-7. Now, you can blame injuries for 2018. However, 2019, they came off so sluggish, so slow, couldn't beat anybody. The only game they won their first 8 games was against the Eagles week 2. And it looked that Dan Quinn was a for sure target to be fired, if not mid-season, then at the end of the season. They have their bye week, and what happens? Finishing the season 6-2. Now, while their record was still ended up again 7-9, you take 6-2 finishing those last 8 games. That's impressive. That's commendable. That shows heart. That shows determination. That shows they have care for their head coach. And Matt Ryan had a good season. He had around 4,500 yards, 26 touchdowns. And they ended up saving Dan Quinn's job. He's still there today. Now, you want to look at the draft they had just now. They acquired defensive players, A.J. Terrell, Marlon Davis, and my favorite player in the draft, the I can hit a grown man and not get punished for guy. And then they cut key players like Desmond Trufant, Devontae Freeman. They let key players Vic Beasley, Austin Hooper walk. And then you want to look at the players they've brought in. Just all these players are former first-round picks. Hayden Hurst, Devontae Fowler, Todd Gurley, Laquan Treadwell, and then from Miami Dolphins, Charles Harris. So in a matter of 4 seasons, they have really turned over the team, getting out former stars that were once helping the team and bringing in... Not all those guys are busts, but there is a clear reason every single one of those players is not on their teams. Charles Harris, bust, yes. Laquan Treadwell, bust. Hayden Hurst, most likely bust. Todd Gurley, injuries have held him back. And Devontae Fowler, whatever it is, he has the ability to be a great defensive edge player. Just never seems to take a step forward in his career as he was expected to from that number 4 overall pick. So look at all those seasons. You look at going from the top of the world up 28-6 on the New England Patriots to almost all your key players being on the injury reserve. It has been an incredibly rough ride for those Atlanta Falcons over the previous 4 seasons. Hopefully, these busts that they've brought in, as well as their new draft picks, can help them push themselves forward in the meantime and go on into the future with success. However, it has been a rough ride for these Atlanta Falcons, and I feel that it deserves to be taken more notice. Now, today, unfortunately, for the NFL, and especially for Dolphin fans as a whole, Don Shula has passed away at 90 years old. Now, by us, I mean us 20-year-olds around this age, we weren't fortunate enough to watch the undefeated season, the incredible years of Miami Dolphins football. But Don Shula truly was one of the greatest coaches of all time, one of the most winning coaches of all time, and he really will be missed for the league and the Dolphins alike. So, thank you guys all for watching. My name is Jacob. I like sports. This has been JK Sports. Please subscribe. Please get down in the comments. Please message me individually things you think I can do to improve the channel. Thank you all very much for watching. I hope you guys are all doing well during this quarantine time, and thank you very much. Have a great rest of your day.